You're scrolling Instagram again. And there it is. A friend from college, standing in front of a door holding a set of keys, confetti emoji everywhere. "We're homeowners," the caption says. You lock your phone, you look around your rented apartment, and that same old voice creeps back in. Everyone else is building something, and I'm just paying someone else's mortgage. Here's what nobody tells you while you're spiraling over that photo. The math behind renting versus buying has quietly changed, and almost nobody updated the advice they're giving you. If you feel like renting means you're failing at adulthood, I need you to pump the brakes. You're not behind. You're living inside the homeownership myth. And today, we're going to break it down with actual numbers, not vibes. Let's start with where things stand right now. The average 30-year mortgage rate is sitting around 6.5%, nearly double what it was just a few years ago. That single number changes this entire conversation because a mortgage payment today buys you a lot less house than it did for the generation that keeps telling you to just buy already. So here is the exact framework to figure out what's actually right for you. Step 1. The true cost comparison. Most people compare renting to buying by looking at one number: rent versus mortgage payment. That is a trap. A mortgage payment is just the beginning. On top of it, you're looking at property taxes, homeowners insurance, and maintenance costs that typically add up to another 1 to 2% of the home's value every single year. Add closing costs when you buy, usually 2 to 5% of the price, and selling costs down the road that eat up another 6% when you eventually move. Renting doesn't come with any of that. No surprise roof repair, no property tax bill, just one number every month, and you're done. This doesn't mean renting is automatically smarter. It means comparing rent to mortgage alone is like comparing the price of a car to the price of a car, plus insurance, gas, and repairs for the next 10 years. You need the full picture before you can make a real decision. Step 2, the opportunity cost flip. Here's the part that finance influencers conveniently skip. Every dollar you put toward a down payment is a dollar that stops being able to grow anywhere else. Let's make this real. Say you have $80,000 saved for a down payment. If you put that toward a house, it's now locked into the property, only accessible if you sell or refinance. But if you invested that same $80,000 instead, at a historical stock market average return, it could roughly double in about a decade. Meanwhile, the difference between what you'd pay in rent versus a full mortgage payment, if invested every single month instead of spent on ownership costs, starts compounding too. This is why in expensive markets with high home prices relative to rent, renting and investing, the difference can actually outperform buying, especially if you're not planning to stay put for a long time. It's not that owning a home doesn't build wealth. It's that your money can build wealth somewhere else too. And you need to compare both paths honestly, not just assume concrete beats stocks. Step 3, the 5-year rule. Here's the number real estate professionals actually use, and it rarely makes it into the just buy a house advice you see online. Because of closing costs and how mortgages are structured, buying a home rarely makes financial sense unless you plan to stay at least 5 years, sometimes closer to 7 depending on your market. Here's why. In the early years of a mortgage, the vast majority of your payment goes toward interest, not the actual house. You're barely touching the principal. It's like planting a tree and expecting shade in month 3. It just doesn't work that way. The tree needs years before it's actually worth anything. Let's put real numbers on this. Say you buy a $400,000 home today, put 20% down, and lock in a rate around 6.5%. Your mortgage payment lands around $2,000 a month, plus taxes, insurance, and maintenance on top. If you'd instead rented a comparable place for $2,400 a month and invested your down payment, at the 5-year mark, renting actually leaves you ahead by around $17,000. By year 8, the two paths are essentially tied. It's only past that point, year 9, year 10, and beyond, that buying pulls ahead and keeps widening the gap every year after. So if you know you might relocate for a job, or you're not sure you'll love the neighborhood, or your life feels genuinely uncertain right now, renting isn't the lesser choice. Based on the actual math, it's the financially correct one for anything shorter than roughly an 8-year timeline. Step 4. The actual green lights to buy. This isn't a video telling you to never buy a house. Buying can absolutely be the smarter move when the conditions are actually right. The real green lights look like this. You're staying in the same area for 5+ years, you have a fully funded emergency fund separate from your down payment, and the math using the 5% rule works in your favor, where owning costs come out lower than comparable rent in your specific market. When those 3 things line up, buying isn't just an emotional milestone. It's a legitimately smart financial move. So to recap the blueprint, first, compare the true, full cost of owning, taxes, insurance, maintenance, and closing costs, not just rent versus mortgage. Second, remember that money not spent on a house can grow somewhere else, so run the opportunity cost honestly. Third, know your timeline because buying rarely wins financially before the 5-year mark. And fourth, if you're staying long-term, have your emergency fund intact, and the local math checks out. That's your green light. Master this framework, and that Instagram photo stops feeling like proof you're behind and starts looking like just one path on one person's specific timeline that may or may not even be the smarter one. Now remember, I am just a girl on a whiteboard. I'm not a mortgage advisor or a real estate professional, so treat this as a starting point. Always run your own numbers and talk to a professional before making a move this big. But if this helped you see the renting versus buying decision more clearly, hit that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss next week's video. Thank you for watching. I will see you then.